How can they be assisted at this point? I know that the government is doing what they can do to reach out to them, but it seems that they're not really having enough to work with in terms of getting seeds and all of this. What alternatives do they have?
It requires a different strategy. What the government really needs to do is to encourage enterprise in the rural communities. Those farmers to begin to produce seeds, so that a farmer's business is not to produce food, will be to produce seeds at the local level. So the other farmers can buy seeds from him instead of him also going to the same market. So they need to invest a bit more into enterprise development, enterprise education, business development in the rural communities, not looking at the rural communities as the rural farmers as unschooled. They are not schooled, but most of them are professionals. They know the industry. They can predict the industry like the stockbrokers do. So they need to accept the fact that, yes, they may not be schooled, but they are learned in their trade. So they need to get back to developing them to provide for their immediate need, as against bringing something from a different location and just dumping it on them. So when you have a farmer producing seeds, when you have another farmer developed in, trained in organic manure production, so when they harvest these products, someone's business is to get the remainings on the farm to make organic fertilizers. So we need to go back, and that's what China has done. That's what Malaysia has done. They've gone back to the village, and what they've done is they developed enterprise from the rural communities. So beyond government, I'm not an advocate of handouts. I don't believe in handouts, that you just give free things to them. However, you need to at least support them. So, and you see, one of the things I say, and I've seen in the industry, and that is really appalling, is that you have quite a number of states across board who have equipments, like I won't mention names now. Some states in Southwest have tomato processing plants that previous administrations bought. Now, if they install those equipments that is already on ground, meaning that the farmers can produce more tomatoes, that state can begin to produce tomato purees and other pie products. I know specifically before Governor Gagu died, he brought in about 4 commercial cassava processing plants. Put them there, but till they are still lying fallow there, not assembled. Some have disassembled some, So we need the governments to really be genuinely interested in the rural communities. There are a lot you need. If you go to the rural communities, there are facilities. To create jobs in Nigeria is the simplest, which is use what you already have lying fallow. Spend a little, refurbish these things, and the economy will flow. So it's not rocket science. It's just having a turnaround manager or an administration across board, federal, state, local government, who have the genuine interest of reviving their states, local governments, and the federal.
When we talk about diversification of the economy, which has been one of the areas that the government focuses on in the past 4 years, how much of agriculture has transformed the economy? I know that now that oil prices have been volatile, and we are still trying to see how we can help our books, our balance sheet. How much impact is agriculture in having on the economy? Now that we're looking more into it, do you think we're achieving the desired results?
We're not there, but we're getting there. Like I said, the good thing about this Dr. Adesina's administration is that he has created the awareness required to move the industry to the next level. And you have quite a lot of the private sector, especially the oil sector. They are having a lot of fears of loss of jobs and co. So you have quite a lot of individuals who have funds or who can sell off some properties, looking into the agricultural sector. Now, we get a lot of calls now, especially from the oil sector, the banking sector. So the awareness that Dr. Additional has created has positively triggered private sector investment, not companies now. Now, focusing on companies investing may not get the job done, but now you have people who are invested, and they are investing heavily in mopping up lands, buying lands. The private sector individuals now, professionals, they are buying lands, and what they are looking for are professionals who can, guide them, coach them to know what to do. So I see 2015 as the year, I call it the second agricultural revolution year. We're moving in the right direction. The IATA agenda is really going to, we're going to see some results from the private sector this year, which will affect the rural farmers, which will be like a collaboration. But I'm optimistic about 2015 and bailing Nigeria out of these challenges by participation, which is not just the private sector, professionals, everybody. The understanding that we need to work together, are just been very clear to us, and people are leveraging on that.
Now, how do you think this money should be shared, the 26 billion naira? Because if the rural farmers seems not to be getting enough, maybe some did, but from what you said, not many got part of the money. How do you think the federal government should share this, should disburse this fund?
I think it's a 70-30. 70% of that fund should go to the rural producers, not necessarily farmers, rural producers and the value chain.
Who produce seeds?
Seeds, the foods and
fertilizers.
Yeah, so the people involved in the value chain with small and medium holding, and 30% to the commercial farmers. Now, what we've seen over the years is, in the last 4 years, is there's been a lot of attention on the commercial people. And guess what? These are people who know nothing about the agricultural industry. And we've been involved with a couple of them. So why put money in the hands of people who will research? Because it's research. But the people who have been doing it year in, year out, like I said, some farmers in the north did not produce soybean. And the whole nation, the livestock industry in the whole nation felt it. So if 70% of the employment is given by the agricultural sector and is in the rural community, it just makes sense to focus on them. So 70% of the 26 billion, if it will eventually come out, 70% of that money should go to the rural communities who leverage on access to raw material, proximity to raw material. There's cheap labor in the rural communities, as against the big players who will probably access 300 million, 500 million with their properties. They are in oil and gas and coal. So 70% of the funds need to get to the people who are doing something now. 70% of the funds need to go to people who already have farms, who have issues. And so if they inject funds, with the infrastructure they have, they can step up as against the commercial people.
I want to believe the money will come out.
Yeah, I pray so.
We have been optimistic here, and,
yeah.
I think it will come out. Because
but you get in the right hands.
All right, African farmer Mogaji, I think we have to leave it at that. There's still a lot to talk about, the issue of value chain, job creation, which you've talked a bit on as well. Thank you so much. That'll be all from you at this point. African farmer Mogaji is an agriculture consultant, and we've been talking about how to boost food production in Nigeria. The president mentioned that earlier on, and in the course of this conversation, approved the release of 26 billion naira for the 2015 dry season farming in the country. One of the ways to boost food production and ensure that every Nigerian have food, or every Nigerian has food to eat. And on this note, we say thank you so much for watching Business Morning. Thank you for your time. Now, we couldn't really get through with your tweets. We hope in tomorrow as we continue on Business Morning. Thank you for watching once again. I am Bolaji Akinwale.